Thank you very, very much. My name is Cristian Movila, and I'm the founder of Unfinished and Capucine.
I started as an artist in the festival and then felt so strongly attached to the ideas behind that I joined the team eventually. Yes.
And my country is neighboring your country, and I've never been in Romania yet.
We heard.
We have to change that.
Correct.
I hope, yeah, I hope we can do that next year or in 2 years, whenever things are getting back to normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But first of all, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And yeah, for us, it's a true honor. We try for many years to do this, and I'm very, very honored to be able this year to make it through.
Perhaps if I may, to introduce a little bit the conversation, which we hope will be as open as possible. We're not interviewers, but we would just love to have a conversation with you. We felt like we would just like to share why it means so much to us that you're part of this year's festival. And there are three main reasons. First of all, because we see in your work this priority of the process before the result. It's all about the journey, at least in the way that we receive it. And this is exactly what we try to do at Unfinished. It's everything is in progress. Everything is a continuous work, and the journey towards it matters much more than where you will get. And then for the second reason, it's the impossibility of separating different aspects of life, because this is something that everybody tries to do, and putting things in containers when, personal and professional actually mix, or body and mind mix. Performance and life are integrated as well, and the festival is about everything. And it's really difficult to talk to people about this, but when we look at your work and your life, we see this in a really admirable way. And then the last reason is just because of time, which is inherent to performance art and is also the basis of the festival, because people don't pay to enter. They enter by paying with time. So they go through an application process, and they have to spend some time on it. And this is how we know they really want to be here. And this is why we're very grateful for your time right now, because we don't take it lightly.
The last thing you told me really makes so much sense. To me, make very much sense that the people pay with their time. When I really start being busy more and more to introduction to long duration performance, I made a certificate, and actually 2 certificates. One certificate is that the public, when they're going to come to see the performance, have to sign the paper. They will give me the word of honor. They will not leave and interrupt the work before it's ending. And if they don't, appreciate the word of honor, their own word of honor, and leave before, that's not my problem. But they have to give me word of honor. I think word of honor is such an old-fashioned way, but really means a lot, at least a lot to me. And the second thing, when they finish, journey and see the long duration of performance, they will get a certificate, which I thank them personally for their trust and participation. So that was like 2 documents that was signed. I think, coming from communist country is very much to do with the documents, certificates, instructions and stuff, that my work really have some influence on that. But this was very important, because the especially long durational work of art, it's a process. It needs time, and it needs time to not just for the artist to go through, but it needs for the public to actually connect to the artist and go through this journey together. And performance is made the way that actually the performer and the audience make unity. That's one thing. There's no separation for the public, because the work is done for the public. So that kind of giving time, I'm really happy to hear the CU Institute practice, because that's something that I think that many institutions should actually adopt it from you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And it's amazing that actually you mentioned trust, because we don't usually have a theme in the festival, but this year we decided to pick trust as
actually
our theme.
early January we decided to have a team listening a podcast, and I was amazed by this podcast because was so much going into depth about trust and how to regain trust today, and in media, in social media, and so on. And then the pandemic came, and now is more important than ever, the idea of trust. And we believe, and here we would like to ask you to have your thoughts on this, that we believe that our generation, and probably for maybe 5 or even more years, the biggest problem that we will have is trust in us, trust in our neighbor, trust in our society, in your leaders or in brands. So here we will like to hear your thoughts on this.
I always think the trust has to come from your own self. It's, the journey have to start with you, not about others. Others have the other agendas and other responsibilities, and you can criticize, society. You can criticize the leaders. You can criticize, how we came to this point with the epidemic, what we done to the planet, and the pollutions, and all of this stuff, wars everywhere, hunger, poverty. But we have to understand what we can do as a human being, what is our own, input into all this. The journey starts with your own step, not with somebody else's step. Right. It's very important. And the trust, it's you have to actually trust first to yourself. You have to trust, and your intuition and your heart. And to understand, if you want to, I'm talking about from the point of view of an artist, if you have the one work that you have to actually share with the audience, you have to really go deep inside your own personal life. The deeper you go to your personal life, the more universal come to other side, because public have to project on you, but they are not just interested in your personal life. You have to find the kind of key, how your personal life can be transcendental, how you can actually project, universal truths. And that's the most difficult part. And then the journey comes with being vulnerable. Vulnerability is very important. You have to actually expose yourself to the public in every possible way, not only your superhero self, but also the self, the part that you're ashamed of. Your emotions, your contradictions, all of this stuff. And the moment when you do that, you actually create really trust with the viewer, because they are the same like you. And then you can create the bridge that the energy dialogue can be actually can happen.
Here I will like to continue on your idea and ask you, who do you trust the most today?
Myself. First, only myself. There's nobody else to trust. You have to trust yourself, and and I always pick up the ideas that are not easy. I pick up things that I'm afraid of. I pick up things that I unknown, that I don't know. I'm curious to make a new journey. I don't like to repeat myself, and then I have to trust that I have to go till the end. But I don't know if I could make it the end. Sometimes, every day could be the last day, especially long durational work, because it's difficult. But then when you make the end, it's like the most incredible feeling of liberation. And I just finished the one piece recently, 7 Deaths of Maria Callas, which took me 31 years. I carried this idea 31 years, and that's a lifetime. But now I finish it, and especially now, we are doing this conversation today. This is after 1 week. I just complete the work. I am so happy. I'm just in a feeling of really tranquility and happiness that this is done. And I don't know how the journey was not easy at all. It was difficult. It was full of doubts. And I'm touching something which is opera. And opera is such a old-fashioned art form that nobody really wanted to touch much, because it's difficult to change anything, because it's old-fashioned, and it's kind of the way it's done for centuries. So, and then you have to kind of take this medium and put it upside down and rethink differently and present it in a new way. And then be also ready that will throw the tomatoes on you, or rotten eggs or whatever. But I didn't care. I need to make this journey, no matter what's the result, So the journey was the most important, not result.
Actually, this is something that we've talked a lot about, the willingness to take risk. And what's extraordinary with your life and your work is that this applies to any period. And I think it's one thing to take risks when you're 18 and you're filming something, in the confinement of your workspace, and something else when you're under constant scrutiny. And this is something we very much admire in your practice, that you are still always looking for, or you're prioritizing the work and the journey and still
and the process.
Putting yourself, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And anyways, we just wanted to compliment you on this. Yeah. I don't know if it's a question exactly.
But also, I have to add something to that. It's really important to actually get in peace with you aging, that you understand that the energy I had when I was 18 and 20 and 30 and 40, even 65 still, it was not energy I have now. That's different. You have to kind of get in peace with your limits and to figure out how the work can be done, and still done, but with your limits. And that's something that not to give up. I think I will die working, because the idea of giving up or just repeating old work doesn't really interest me. I'm just interested in always a new journey, and I think curiosity keeps me alive. And this is another reason which, when I was working with Callas, the material, that Callas actually wanted to give up everything for love, and she died from a broken heart. And for me, I had this experience, but work saved me. And I think that's the kind of message I wanted to transmit to anybody, that we have to go to yourself, no matter what.
I wanted to mention that we are showing 2 works of yours in the festival. There's Rhythm Zero, where you, speaking of vulnerability, have allowed the audience to do anything they wanted to you during the exhibition. And also Rest Energy, the performance with Ulay, which is for us the embodiment of trust, where he was pointing the arrow at your heart. And we were wondering if perhaps you could talk a little bit more about those 2 pieces specifically.
It's very interesting that you mentioned these 2 pieces, because they're really to deal with the trust. The first piece, I was only 23 years old. Wow. The other ones are older. I was I think 35 or something, different time. Wow. And one, I trust the public, and another one, I trust the man, that was a part of my life. So with the public trust, this whole idea of that piece came because of, in some way, of anger. In that time, the performance art was not mentioned as any kind of the official form of art. And the people ridicule the performance. They want to put us in mental hospital. They want to think that this is disgrace for the art scene, that this is stupid, this is masochistic and sadistic and whatever. Any criticism of at that time of performance art, it was called body art, but at the time it was really condemned in the press and also in society. We were such a little small group of artists around Student Cultural Center doing this kind of work, and against all odds and against all society. So somehow, the public was actually our friends. Sometimes 10 people, 20, 30 was like big crowd. It was very, very small. And then I remember saying, what if I don't do absolutely nothing? And I put, 72 objects on the table for the pleasure, but also for the torture, including the pistol with the bullet. And I write a statement: yes, I'm an object. You can do whatever you want with me, and I take the responsibility for 6 hours. I give them time limit, 6 hours. This was one of the first long durational pieces, actually, at that time. And this was in Naples, in Italy. And I really didn't know if I would come alive out of this work. Because, being so young in that time, you just die for your ideas. I mean, I was so ready to die. If I think about this now, I really was. Because otherwise, you will never risk with a bullet. It was crazy at that time. So the piece started very, very friendly. But 6 hours is a long time, and the people developed more and more kind of courage to use more and more objects were really hurting me. And I went through quite much hell. But what happened then, that the public really actually passed the limit of being public an observer into somebody who actually it was enjoying torture you. And I wanted to know how far public can go. And, I was just standing there dressed in a T-shirt and jeans. And they start cutting my clothes. They give me the rose. They take the thorn of the rose. They put in my body. They cut my neck here. They drink my blood. It was just wow. From one moment to another moment, it was hell. The only thing what I've been doing, I've been always looking to one particular point in space. And really, whatever you do with me, you leave your hand up, I stay there. You turn my body to the right or to the left, I stay there. I was a total puppet in the eyes, focusing in that kind of faraway point, like I'm focusing to the void or something. And then somebody took the pistol, somebody gave the pistol, seeing if I would pull the trigger myself, become fight. Pistol went down and went really, really into the moment that people start carrying me around, put me on the table, half naked, put the knife between my legs, and the women will only tell the men what to do and take my tears from my eyes out.
Wow.
And there was such an interesting, actually, later on when I was looking into all images of the piece, I saw the three very simple projections of Italian culture. The projection of the mother, of the whore, and of Madonna. These three prototypes was projected on me in all these images. And after 6 hours, when the public came, when the galleries came to me and say 6 hours is over, it was 2 a.m, I start moving for the first time. And I start going towards the people. And the people went crazy. They just ran away. Literally, nobody wanted to have eye contact with me. They just ran away from the whole space. And I remember, I kind of dress full of blood and sweat and then looked like hell because people throwing water on me and stuff like that. And went to the hotel, and all what I see in my mirror, I look myself, it was a piece of gray hair on my left part of my face, of my head. And I could not sleep all night, and I really knew that actually, yes, public can kill you if you give them that permission. They can kill you. And 25 years later, I made a piece like Artist is Present in the MoMA, which I actually give public completely different instructions. And I told them they can sit on the chair opposite of me any amount of time they want. But they can't talk, they can't do anything except look in my eyes. So what I done in the first piece, I actually wake up the low instincts of the public, and I lift the spirit in the second piece, in the piece that actually they have to come to the meditative state of mind. So you can as an artist lift spirit of the public or put the spirit down. And it's a very important role that artists could have. And the second piece, the rest energy, I was with Ulay. We met on our birthday. We're the same day born, 3 years difference. And we fall in love. So it was a big love story. And when later on, when we split from on the Great Wall of China and say goodbye after 12 years being together, there was a TV interviewer and asked Ulay question, but why the arrow didn't face your heart? Why the arrow face her heart? And her answer was very curious. At that time, we didn't talk to each other, so I saw this answer on television. And he said, but her heart is my heart too. Not bad answer.
Well, not bad.
I'm sorry if but I'm curious. What is love today for you, now, at this moment?
In this moment and any other moment, love is the most important human emotion, I think, in the universe. love is everything. I mean, but I only, for me, my concept of life changed, because before it was love to, your lover, your husband, love to the mother, to the children, to the animal, to your dog. But right now, I think that we have to really think on unconditional love. We have to elevate ourselves into this idea that unconditional love is really the right kind of love. That you actually love without waiting for return. And I think the older you get, the more wise you get. And right now, I'm in love. I am in love now. I am a wonderful partner, and it's just at the same time, it's different, because you think about temporality of human life. You think, when you get to my age now, in November 74, so you immediately start thinking, okay, how much time is left? How much time still have to cut bullshit and do something meaningful and concentrate on important things. So the love is important. Love is so important, but also to learn to love, this planet, to love universe, to love the stone, the rocks, the tree, the flower, everything.
Is love for your partner more important than love for your work?
Tough question.
That's a tricky question. I have to say that in my entire life, I had now this is my third love, that I really fall in love. One almost broke my heart, but every time, whatever happened, people comes and goes, I always back to the work. Work is my savior. I can't be without work. And everybody who, have a relation with me have to take me as I am with my work.
So then it's two different loves, but is more important work. I'm just curious, and I'm sorry if I'm sorry.
No, it's not. I think that actually work is a part of my personality. So if you love me, you have to love me with my work.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Back to what we were saying about the impossibility of separating.
Yeah.
It's not separating. Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's and the biggest problem with the love is that you lose yourself in the other. And when you lose yourself in other leaves, because everything is temporary in life, then you're totally left like invalid. You're left halfway. And that's something that, you're not allowed to happen. You have to be all. In relationship, you have to be all. And other person have to be all. And when you get together, you can have unity, but still the two alls, not two halves.
Working with your love and doing projects together, and this is very important. And for me, I would like to hear your thoughts on this, because you lived that.
I'm more.
It's our number one rule. No artist.
But
love.
It was a long time ago in the end of 70s, or I think in 80s. It was a big exhibition in Germany, Karlsruhe, about couple working together, and all different examples. Two couple working together, a very successful moment, and then the thing changed. One becomes stronger than the other, and one literally absorbed the other one, and the other one becomes slave of his career to the person who actually succeed more, and being absorbed by the couple. Or the couple, they work till one point and separate, and then totally two separate careers. So all kinds of combination. And, the couple working is so difficult. You have to keep this fragile balance all the time. And you have to really check yourself on the daily basis, not to absorb the other person too much, and to keep the two wholes together. The only couple in art that succeeds till now, and it's more than 50 years, is Gilbert and George, that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
so good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like all my questions now are too abstract, but anyways.
No, come on.
Come on, give me abstract question, please.
Sure. Actually, it's related to, of course, what you were saying earlier, and getting out of comfort zone and taking risks. And I think in your career you have very much done this first of all, in a physical sense, but also geographical, like looking for places undiscovered, or spending time, for example, with Aborigines in Australia, or really looking for places that fall between the cracks and put yourself out of your comfort zone. But now we're in a time where everyone is a little bit stuck geographically. So we have to look, I think, and you talk about this too, looking for getting out of our comfort zone intellectually and emotionally and so on. And I was wondering if you have any advice or exercises or things that you do for yourself, or perhaps part of your method, or but that anybody in their homes now can do.
But this coronavirus, it's there's so many positive sides.
Absolutely.
We're only talking about negative sides, but that's the positive sides.
Yeah.
The positive sides that you really have to turn to yourself. You have to find the happiness in everyday life. You have to find the humor in everyday life. And that's very important. It's like to sit in depressed home and, kind of crying what you can't do is so unproductive. So I don't know, I in this middle of coronavirus, I succeed to make the dream of my life, like the entire opera. So I think there's always ways to find a way. But one thing that's very important for the person is to really understand how to live here and now, from every little moment, like having tea in the morning and looking the birds crossing the street, or if you're inside the house, just have the pot of flowers and observe the flowers. Or do things like that. I remember this very good example of the Matisse during the Second World War, when everybody was reflecting on the Second World War, and everybody was talking about the terrible things, and in the paintings, in the sculptures, in the writings, and for movies, and so on. Matisse's entire Second War was painting flowers. This was he's actually defending, the horror. Really lift your spirit up. Don't let your spirit down. That's I think, very important. I mean, I have tons of methods, you can do. Like one of my favorites is counting the rice.
Yeah.
Take the big hands full of rice and count it. And see, how the hours passing, and see how you actually lose your patience, and see how stupid, shitty thing, what I'm doing, just counting the rice. But anyway, counting the rice is it's a very meaningful thing, because you start observing your breathing process. You start seeing where is your limit of your concentration, and also that your responsibility. If I say I'm going to count this amount of rice, then don't give up. If you give up counting the rice, you give up counting. It's the same like give up your life. So it's about decision of willpower and so much. Little simple things. Or another thing, find a comfortable place in the house, sit and stay there for a long period of time and do absolutely nothing. It's not even about meditation. It's just seeing how energy goes around, how the lights travel in the room, how the particles of atomic, the electricity is passing by. Feel your body, feel your heartbeat. Things like that. Now we have time for this, and we never do that, and that's very essential to be in touch with yourself.
Do you have more inappropriate questions?
No.
But tell me, can I ask you the question? How is the Romanian artist doing with performance? Is that big movement there? I would be so interesting if I come to Romania to visit some performance artists and meet them personally, because of my institute, my Marina Abramović Institute for Performance Art, and my institute is based especially for the young performance artists to train long durational work of art. And we teach them, we do the workshops, cleaning the house, when they go 5 days with no food, no talking, doing heavy physical exercises in order to really create stamina to do long work. And then the performance work are mostly in the different museums around the world. And they are 8 hours a day for 2 months or 1 month, which is very demanding and very difficult. And we took the idea of 8 hours simply because every museum is open from 10 to 6, which is 8 hours. So the actually museum is always full of energy, and different type of public come in, because normally, when you see the show in the museum, you don't come to see a second time, maybe once, but not every day. But here, the public can't believe that performance is going all the time. So they bring their friends, and the friends bring another friends. So we're creating this really new art community, which is very vibrant and extremely dynamic. So the one possibility would be also to do in Romania a big festival. So we done just recently one in Turkey, in Istanbul, and there we make proposals to applications. So we had something like 200 applications, but we choose 12 artists, which the best ideas, and we train them, to create their own work and to have this experience with the public and infrastructure of the museum. So that is kind of something that would be, for me, interesting to do in Romania.
Yeah, I mean, it will be amazing to do this together here in Romania. We have really great artists, but I think the spaces are not enough, and infrastructure and actually the art scene is not enough for them here, and most of them are going to New York and to other places. And but I think now we are working on something that probably in future will be a place for something like this. And for sure, I'm very open to have a conversation about this, because it's what we do with our foundation. Yeah, I mean, this is actually something that will mean a lot for our community. So, yeah, I think you'll get much more applicants than you need.
But
if we do this, yeah.
Maybe not just from art, though.
Yeah.
But this is very specific. This application is only for long duration. It's the one of the most difficult form of art. These kids have to perform 8 hours a day for months or 2 months together, or very kind of specific long period of time. So they are it's very narrowing, you know what, and they use mostly the body and very little of material. So, I mean, if you look on our website, there's some examples. We've done in Brazil, we've done in Australia, we've done in Turkey, in Greece. I mean, really around the world. Because before we wanted to have building, but then we give up the idea of the building, because we say now that our motto is, don't come to us, we come to you. So we actually go, and in this way become so much more international, and with many different locations. We also went to the Thailand. For the Biennale in Thailand. Also this year, Biennale in Thailand, we have 3 performers there. And it was really incredible, because we are dealing with different cultures and different type of performers. And for us, it will be very narrowing. It will not be international. It will be only Romanian artists and nobody else. So you go to the country, just Romanians. And to see what comes out of material. And I always have very high opinion about Romanian art and writings and
writings.
I think by the way, you have Brancusi. What else you want? And I always citate Brancusi, because he said something that makes so much to me. He said, it's not important what type of art you're doing. What is important is the state of mind you're doing what you're doing. And to me, what he said is essential for my work. This is like a kind of the root of everything is a state of mind. And to get the state of mind is through preparation, mental, physical. And you can't just go there in the front of the public and without that kind of preparation. Because public can feel insecurity. Public can feel that you're not there. Public can feel if you're afraid. Public is like a dog. They feel everything. So you have to have a strong state of mind. And this is why for our institute, workshops are very important, to build that kind of stamina. When I teach more than 25 years, and I remember, people tell me, but how somebody's performance artist is not? I say it's very simple. It's not about ideas he comes with. It's not about ideas he can come, they can be better and less and worse, can change. It's not about technique we can learn. It's about how you stand in the front of the people. Just stand there, nothing else. Just stand there for 15 minutes and look at me. And you know everything about it. Because the performance artists have to have charisma. Charisma is something that you don't learn. You're born with that. That's it. And if you have it, you have it. Everything else you can be learned.
Yeah.
So that would, I would be interested to work with young Romanian.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear. And yeah, I would like to have a conversation about this. Yeah.
Maybe just about this, the state of mind of the artist. I also feel like for the audience, it's also about their state of mind. I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure in the art world in making objects and always having something that is physical, when art is a mental process. It's a reaction you have to whatever it is that creates the meaning, but it's something that happens in your brain as a maker or as a viewer, or as a receiver or participant. But it's the object is just a tool to get to this status. And I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit of how over the years, especially, you've dealt with this pressure from the art world to, you have multiple galleries who have fairs of, 12 times a year, and I suppose they're always asking for objects and things, and how as someone who is so anchored on the transformation inside to compromise with making objects or not, or how you navigate this pressure.
But I really believe that I didn't make a huge compromise to the market because, after all these years working, my prices in the market are pretty low next to the Jeff Koons, Damien Hirst, of all these people. They sell for millions. I never saw such money in my life because my work has such a multiple way of doing it. I also, apart of performance, I do teaching and workshops. I also do the photography and make video works and make objects which I call transitory. They're not sculptures, but they're transitory objects with the minerals and crystals, which I can transform the energy of the planet into the energy of the viewer. And this is what my galleries have to deal with. But I, like right now, I made the opera. They have nothing to do with that. They're mostly desperate about me, because I don't do. But but at the same time, it's immaterial. It's immaterial, form of art, the performance, because all it stays is a memory. It's really memory. It's memory of the viewer, and then it's a transmission, oral transmission, like Aborigine culture, never been written in one word, but orally transmission the knowledge from person to person. So if you have 10 people saw the piece, these 10 people tell to another 10 people, and the piece is really changing your life and means something to you. The circle, the public will be bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is how with transmission. I mean, in the beginning, as I said, there was 10, 20, 30 people. Now I have hundreds of thousands. It's just a huge number. And this takes time and trust to with the public, to the established, to create that kind of image. But, it works, really works. And to me, whatever, if I die today, if you think about what I will leave behind me, I don't think I will leave behind me so much objects or the photographs or the transitory objects or the video works. What I will leave behind, it's first of all my legacy, the long duration of performance work that is the most transformative of all, because you're going through the process. In a way, it's very different if you do performance 1 hour or 3 hours, and it's very different if you do 3 months. This is life itself. So the life and performance become one, and that affects you as well as the public, watching. So this is a kind of transformative form of work, and this is what I think this legacy stays. Really the long duration of performance. Second, that I also going to leave behind possibility of reperforming historical works. There is a system and conditions how you should reperform the work of art. So it's not once forever, but also the other generations can actually experience the work. Same like a dance, which many the people of my generation hated. They say that's not possible, but I believe it's possible. And then what will be the third? And the third that I really wanted to leave behind a huge archive of history of performance, past, present, future. something that I believe that performance is immaterial form of art is, with music, the highest form of art.
Thank you.
Okay, now ask me something really banal.
Banal? Oh, that's his territory.
something like you're always interested to ask me, but you don't dare.
What's next? I mean, it's not that kind of question, but what's next after opera? I mean, after opera, what's next after such a performance?
Right now, I'm working already.
Of course.
Since last those days, I only been sleeping for 2-3 days. Now I'm already working. I've been invited by Sky Arte, which is the television. For the first time, they want to give an artist 5 hours of program straight. 5 hours, which is a long program for television, to create my introduction to performance art to the larger public. And I'm editing materials. I am doing the studio performance of young artists, and I'm working on this. And it's pretty much lots of work. It's 5 hours for television. It's a big thing. And we're going to broadcast in November.
Wow.
So this is one thing I'm doing. And another thing is the exhibition will be postponed, which is called now Afterlife, because I'm done with dying. Now it's only about afterlife. Afterlife in the Royal Academy in London, and this is going to perform. I will do also new performance there, but also is a big show with lots of new work, and it's open in September. And all next year we're touring opera in Paris, in Berlin, in Athens. I hope you come. It is Berlin, not too far. You should come to see. It's going to be in Berlin. Is in February.
Okay.
And then we can meet and talk more about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
What is the most important rule in your manifesto? To pick one. And if you say don't fall in love with artists, I'm all ears.
Never fall with. Yeah, I broke this rule twice, so I'm hopeless. I don't know. I really like the last part that I wish to die without anger, without fear, and without fear. No, the fear, anger, what is the third? Unconsciously.
Unconsciously.
These three things. Because people are so afraid of the passage. And I think it's so important to have good life and have great death too. That's important. So, I'm thinking of these kind of terms now. But my grandmother lived 103, so I'm thinking, it's not soon.
All right.
Yeah.
And Slavic people are tough.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's it.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for taking the time.
So I wish you really great luck, and I'll see you soon somewhere live.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All this technology.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy. Honestly, Matthew was important to set up all this, because it looks actually very good.
Yes,
and
yes.
you will see it on our screen.
Also here.
And I'm in the middle of my storage. You don't see anything. Everything's blank. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Peace from me.
Thank you.
Bye.
And thank you, Matthew.
Bye, bye.
And thank you, Matthew.
Bye-bye.
Matthews. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.